With 3 points separating Shane van Gisbergen from playoff elimination, the margin is so thin you could slide a lug nut through it. The New Zealander who shocked this sport by winning on debut at Chicago in 2023 is now fighting for his playoff life in a series he has been racing full-time for barely 2 seasons. And after what unfolded at Darlington Raceway, the track too tough to tame, the leaderboard looks nothing like anyone predicted. The question now is not whether Van Gisbergen belongs in this conversation. The question is whether 3 points is enough to survive what is coming next. Let's break down exactly what happened, what it means, and why the rest of the field should be very, very worried about the driver of the '88 Chevrolet. Here is where we stand right now. Shane van Gisbergen and the Trackhouse Racing team walk away from Darlington sitting 12th in the round of 16 playoff picture. That number alone does not tell the full story, because the cut line is 13th. That means he is on the right side of elimination by exactly 3 points over Joey Logano. 3 points in a NASCAR playoff round is not a cushion. It is a coin flip with the engine running. One bad pit call, one loose wheel, one yellow flag at the wrong moment, and that margin evaporates. The fact that Van Gisbergen is even in this conversation, competing for survival in a round that typically belongs to the most seasoned veterans in the sport, is the story nobody outside of the hardcore NASCAR world is giving enough credit right now. Darlington itself added chaos to an already volatile playoff picture. The Southern 500, the round of 16 opener, delivered 7 cautions, 23 lead changes, and a finish that came down to less than half a second. Chase Briscoe in the 19 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota took the win over Tyler Reddick by 408 thousandths of a second. That is how close this field is racing right now. And in a round where a win automatically locks you into the next stage, every single driver without a victory is doing the same math. Watching the clock, watching the gaps, watching who is above and who is below that cut line. Van Gisbergen survived Darlington, but surviving and thriving are 2 very different things. But that is only half the story. To understand why Van Gisbergen's position in this playoff matters so much, you have to go back to what this driver has already proven he can do, and how fast he has done it. When he crossed the finish line first at the Chicago Street Circuit in 2023, it was his very first Cup Series start. Not his 5th, not his 10th, his first. That had never happened in the modern era of NASCAR. It was the kind of debut that makes the sport stop and recalibrate. But debuts can be flukes. Chicago is a road course, and Van Gisbergen arrived from supercars in Australia as arguably the greatest road course driver on the planet. Skeptics were quick to point that out. What followed told a different story. In the Xfinity series, where Trackhouse gave him a development runway to learn the nuances of oval racing, Van Gisbergen has been stacking results. 3 wins in 2024, including that Chicago victory again. 8 or more top 5 finishes across 10 starts. An average finish that sounds modest until you factor in the learning curve of a driver adapting from right-hand drive touring cars to purpose-built stock cars on banked asphalt ovals he had never seen before. And at Darlington's Xfinity race in 2024, he showed genuine speed on a track that has been eating cars since 1950. That is not a fluke. That is a driver with genuine speed, finding his footing. Jeff Gluck at The Athletic had Van Gisbergen ranked 8th in his power rankings as recently as March of 2025, following a Chicago Xfinity win. And that number has only moved in one direction since. What Darlington proved is that the oval transition, the piece of the puzzle everyone said would break him, is not breaking him. It is bending, and he is bending it back. And then came the part nobody saw coming. The numbers inside the Darlington playoff result are where this story gets genuinely nerve-wracking. Van Gisbergen sits on the right side of the cut line, but the gap is 3 points over Joey Logano, a 3-time Cup Series champion, a Team Penske veteran, a driver with more playoff experience than almost anyone in the field, by just 3 points. 3 points. To put that in context, a single stage point is worth 1 point. One well-executed pit stop sequence under green that tracks a driver up through positions can swing 2, 3, 4 points. One caution at the wrong time can swing it the other way. The margin Van Gisbergen is working with is not a buffer. It is a tightrope. And the man he is holding off is not a rookie. Logano knows exactly what it takes to climb out of a deficit in a playoff round. He has done it before. The pressure that creates on Van Gisbergen's '88 team, on crew chief Stephen Doran, on every pit call, on every fuel window calculation, is unlike anything a driver in his second full season of Cup competition should be experiencing this early in his NASCAR career. What makes Darlington specifically significant to the tactical story is how the track punishes mistakes and rewards precision. Over 100 laps of tire degradation, multiple caution periods disrupting green flag pit cycles, and a racing surface that has earned its Lady in Black nickname through decades of shredded sheet metal. Staying clean at Darlington is itself a strategic win. For Van Gisbergen and Trackhouse, the fact that the 88 came out of that race still alive in the playoffs, still on the right side of the elimination line, reflects execution under pressure that this team is quietly building race by race. That composure is not accidental. But the real fallout did not happen on the track. The reaction to Van Gisbergen's Darlington situation is revealing something about where this sport is right now. Trackhouse Racing brought this driver to America on a multi-year commitment that runs through 2026 and beyond. That is not a short-term experiment. That is an organization betting significant resources on the belief that a driver from New Zealand with no prior American oval experience can not only adapt, but compete for championships. After Darlington, that bet is looking increasingly credible. The international dimension of this story matters to NASCAR's business picture too. New Zealand media interest in Van Gisbergen's progress has added a measurable, if modest, viewership dimension to a sport that has been working to grow its audience. NASCAR's Cup Series television numbers averaged around 2.9 million viewers in 2024, roughly flat year over year. Every driver who brings new eyes to the sport, every market where NASCAR suddenly has a storyline worth following, is part of a larger picture the organization is trying to paint. Van Gisbergen being alive in the playoffs, visible in the standings, fighting for survival on American soil. That is, a marketing asset on top of a sporting one. Inside the garage, the reaction to the 88's playoff position has been measured but pointed. Trackhouse's operation has been building. Doran and the team have been noted for strong pit stop execution, a critical element at a track like Darlington where track position means everything. When you do not have a dominant car capable of leading 100 laps, you win on execution. You win on strategy. You win on staying out one lap longer than your competitor when the fuel window says you can make it. That is the game Van Gisbergen and Trackhouse are playing right now, and they are still playing it. And when you look at the standings now, you will see why this changes everything. Here is the cold mathematics of where things stand. In the round of 16, 4 drivers will be eliminated. Van Gisbergen is currently 12th of 16, 3 points clear of the cut. With multiple races remaining in this round, the points will continue to stack, shift, and reshuffle. A driver like Logano, 13th at this moment, is not conceding anything. He has a team with the resources, the pit road execution, and the experience to swing 10, 15, 20 points in a single race if the circumstances align. Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, and others above the cut line are also not comfortable. Nobody in the round of 16 is comfortable. For Van Gisbergen, the path forward demands something specific. He cannot afford to finish outside the top 20. He cannot afford a mechanical issue that drops him a lap down. He needs stage points wherever he can accumulate them, because stage points are currency in a round where the margins are this tight. Every green flag lap completed under his own power is a lap that keeps the number above 0. The Trackhouse team understands this. They are not looking for a rogue win right now, though that would change the equation entirely and lock Van Gisbergen through to the round of 12 with a single checkered flag. They are managing a situation with the precision it requires. It is also worth noting that 0 wins and 0 poles in the Cup Series, Van Gisbergen's current tallies, means every point has been earned through raw race finishes and stage results. There is no playoff bonus cushion from a win banked earlier in the season. He is running on the edge with no net below him. That makes every position he gains or loses matter in real time, in ways that drivers with wins in their pockets simply do not feel the same way. One historical point of reference. The last time a New Zealand-born driver carried genuine championship round momentum in American stock car racing, this sport was a fundamentally different animal. Van Gisbergen is doing something unprecedented in the modern era, and the standings after Darlington prove it is not luck driving this trajectory. And that sets up what could be the most important race of the season for the 88 team. The schedule ahead for the round of 16 does not get softer from here. The tracks coming up test different skills, different setups, different strategic calculations. Van Gisbergen's strength profile, road course dominance, growing oval competency, strong tire management awareness, has to translate on tracks where the competition is deeper and the playoff pressure exponentially higher. Texas Motor Speedway sits as an intermediate oval where Trackhouse will need the Chevrolet to have genuine pace, not just survival speed. The number to watch is not the overall standings position. It is that 3-point gap over Logano. Watch whether it grows or shrinks with every stage that runs. Watch the pit calls from Doran. When does Trackhouse go aggressive versus when do they play it safe and protect position? Watch how Van Gisbergen handles restarts on ovals, because that is traditionally where drivers in their second and third seasons in this series either prove they have made the leap or expose where they still have work to do. Restarts on intermediate tracks at playoff speed are a different animal than anything he faced in supercars. Watch also whether Trackhouse makes any adjustments, setup-wise, strategy-wise, coming out of Darlington. The data they collected over multiple caution periods and 100+ laps of racing on that abrasive surface gives their engineers a picture of where the 88 Chevrolet is performing and where it needs to find more. The teams that use Darlington data will tend to show up at the next round with answers. The teams that do not tend to disappear from the playoffs quietly. 3 points is Shane Van Gisbergen's entire world right now, and the next race has the power to double it, triple it, or erase it completely.